How's it going, everybody? This is the Nitty Gritty. My name is Chad. With me, as usual, is Leonard. This is another random match review where one of us has sent the other a random match, presumably that person has not seen, and then we come on here and we share our thoughts on said match, which could be from any era of wrestling or any company, and we talk about it. And they are always fun, short conversations that don't take up a lot of time. And on this occasion, I sent Leonard a match, and it is from AEW, which I know Leonard doesn't watch a lot of.
No, not anymore. I did when they first came out, but I haven't really watched anything current for quite a while.
And I was going to select a match that neither of us had seen, Leonard, because there was a pay-per-view that I hadn't watched. I know the results and everything, but I was trying to find it was Chris Jericho versus Orange Cassidy in a Mimosa Mayhem match.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Right.
Yeah.
But you can't. So, like, AEW is like, they don't play around with clips or full length matches. Like, if it's not coming from their YouTube account, like, you won't be able to find it unless you buy the event on Bleacher Report Live, because to date they don't have a WWE Network type thing or an Impact app or anything like comparable. So I couldn't find that match. But what I could find was a match from Rampage on April 8th of this year, 2022. And it is a match that you will see mentioned in, a lot of sites, because it was between Jon Moxley and Wheeler Yuta, who is still the ROH Pure Champion. And they had a number of matches, but this one that was on Rampage on a Friday night, I would say is one of their better ones. And I just think that this is a good example of what AEW offers on their Friday show. It's not necessarily the highest profile of matches, but they're usually trying to showcase a younger talent or younger talents in some way. You'll have your squash matches, which serve a purpose as well. But on the Friday show, they're trying to showcase some of the younger up-and-coming talent, people that they want to get behind, but they might not have as much time to spotlight that person on Dynamite. And this was a match where they were really kind of gearing and trying to almost haze Wheeler Yuta into joining the faction that Moxley is a part of, when Wheeler Yuta is now a part of, called the Blackpool Combat Club, which consists of Bryan Danielson, Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, and Wheeler Yuta, with Regal as their kind of mentor. So that's the kind of thing you had going on here. Wheeler Yuta needed to go through the various members. Claudio was not around at this point, but he needed to go through the various members to see if he was worthy enough of joining said faction. And this just, to me, was a great match. And you could tell that AEW, whether it's Tony Khan or multiple people, are really high on Wheeler Yuta. And this was meant to showcase that. And I think that even though he did not come out as the victor, I think they did a good job of showcasing his talent. But maybe Leonard felt differently. Leonard, what did you think?
I'm very conflicted on this match because when they actually wrestled, I thought it was very good. When they did the garbage stuff, I thought it was horrible. It was very awkward. It was very sloppy. It almost felt like they felt compelled to do it. Like, no one's going to care if we don't do this. But I thought the transitions in and out of the submission holds and the unique submission holds they did were great. The transitions in and out of the different moves they were doing, and they were unique moves, I thought were great. I liked the superplex spot where Moxley rakes Yuta's back just to be a dick. And you can tell just this look in his face when he does it. And then later when they get back up on the top rope, Yuta rakes Moxley's back to get back to him. That's a great bit of storytelling right there. So that was great. I didn't like the fact that Yuta bleeds so early, and I didn't think he needed to bleed in this match for what the in-ring portions were of the match.
I can add a footnote to that.
Yes.
Which I had forgotten about until you just mentioned it. Mm-hmm. And that was that Moxley kind of put out not a stipulation, but he said, the only way I'm going to, have a bond with another person, or in effect have this person join the faction, is he's like, I've got to bleed with them first. So that was a setup prior to this match starting.
Okay, did Moxley bleed in the match? Because I don't remember him bleeding.
I forget if he bled or not.
So I have to bleed with a person, but I'm not going to bleed. They just have to bleed.
He might have bled in that match. I'm not sure.
I don't remember seeing him bleed.
As an overarching theme in AEW,
I get that part of it. Even with that, Yuta doesn't necessarily sell the blood. Like, the commentators try to sell the bleeding, and he maybe wobbles, I think, once in the match, but he's 100% fine until Moxley locks him in the rear naked choke, and then he passes out immediately. And then as soon as Regal and Danielson comes out, he's fine again. So it's like, I'm bleeding, I'm cool. Oh, I'm bleeding too much. Oh, I'm fine. So it wasn't carried off well, even with your addition. I don't think that was carried off very well. Also, the table spot is horrible, because when they first do it, I saw it and I go, oh, that's an okay table spot. But then they showed the replay. And on the replay, you see that Moxley is just sitting on this table, beaten off, waiting for Yuta to come hit him. Moxley falls out of the ring and then goes and just sits on the table and is like, hey, come on. And then he does it. It doesn't make any sense. It's stupid. If he would have rolled out onto the table, okay, I'll give you that. But the table is a good 5 to 7 feet away. He has to go sit on the table and wait. And that doesn't make sense. And they would have got away with it. They hadn't shown the replay. Because the way they show it live, you just see him hitting Moxley and it goes through the table. And it kind of looks like they fall through the table. But on the replay, you can see him just sitting there waiting, not doing anything. Which really sours that spot. I thought there were 2 near finishes that should have been the finish. Like when Yuta gets kicked on the flying nothing, and I would challenge anyone to tell me what he was going for when he jumps off and just gets kicked and takes the paradigm finish. The paradigm. What's that called, that move? Is the paradigm what?
Paradigm shift?
Paradigm shift. I just wrote paradigm in my notes. I forgot to write shift.
Yeah.
That was a near finish. When Yuta kicked out the King Kong Lariat, I thought that could have been the finish. So the rear naked choke felt a little anticlimactic to me. So I'll give it 2 stars. And again, I love the wrestling. When they actually wrestled, it was really good. But they did all the needless garbage stuff that just came across like, we're doing this because we have to. We feel that we have to. And it was poorly executed and poorly done, even for a garbage match. Like that table spot. That's the worst table spot I've ever seen, ever in any match, because of how artificial it was.
Well, obviously, I would go a little bit higher. I'd probably go.
I figured you would. I figured you sent me this because you knew I would hate it.
No. I mean, I was hoping you would like it. Obviously, I wouldn't send you a match in hopes that you would hate it. But no, I thought this was really good. I thought, as far as false finishes go, I think that's one of the things that AEW does the best. Is that they do have a lot of false finishes that come out well. And this match, combined, the Wheeler Yuta style of just pure wrestling with Moxley style, which is more leaning on the hardcore stuff. So, I thought it was a good marriage between the two. Leonard did not think so, but that's what makes this fun, after all.
But what I want to now? I would guess that Wheeler Yuta fought Bryan Danielson at some point, correct?
Before this, yes.
Okay, I would want to go find that match, because I'm thinking that match I would probably really love.
Yeah, I that one might have been on a Dynamite. I forget off the top of my head.
Okay, I'll go find that. Hopefully I can find that, and maybe in a future show I'll just quickly mention if I watched it and what my thoughts on that were.
But it should be mentioned that Moxley and Wheeler Yuta, I think they had a trilogy.
I believe they had mentioned on the commentary to this they had fought before. I don't know if this was the third match or the middle match.
I think this was the middle one.
Okay, but they had mentioned that they had fought before. And that's why I didn't, because another thing I didn't like initially was that he dove outside the ring on the Moxley to start the match, because I didn't think that was needed. But when they said, oh, these guys have a history, then that made more sense. Oh, they have a history.
Well, even
wants
if
to get at Moxley, that makes more sense.
even if they wouldn't have had necessarily history, like to me that was like based on the promos and stuff before, they were kind of trying to showcase that like Wheeler Yuta knew he was the underdog here. He knew that he was going up against a guy that was more established and more powerful. So the only way he was going to be able to get an upper hand is to hit him right out of the gate, which I thought was cool. But again, Leonard and I have slightly different opinions here. That's okay. Let us know what you thought of the match. If you watched it, it's hard to find. It might not be on YouTube.
Actually, I found it on YouTube. Right. You sent me a link, but then I looked to see if I could find it on YouTube, and I did.
Okay, well, that's good.
Yeah. And I'm guessing I'm going to be in the minority. I'm guessing most people are going to like the match. And here's the thing. I did like it to a degree. I liked parts of it. I'm not totally hating on it. I just liked certain segments more than other segments.
That's all right. That's all right. Well, let us know what you think. Check out our full-length episodes. Check us out on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. For Leonard, my name is Chad, and we will see you next time.